another week, and I didn't drop the bell, Ivan. I think about it every time. Ivan told me one time that I should be careful that I don't drop this bell on the ground because I would be remembered forever. So Rotary president has taught me a lot about stress management. I used to think the most stressful 7 a.m. text would be that one of my employees was not coming in because they were sick. That is no longer the case. It is now a text at 7 a.m. saying our speaker is not coming. But that is okay because we have someone coming very shortly that is going to take over. So with that being said, Sara Cheverton, would you like to come up and do our inspirational moment?
Good morning, President Natalie, and fellow Rotarians and guests. Oh, okay. All right.
Good afternoon.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, good afternoon. We gather today in the spirit of friendship, service, and purpose. We give thanks for the friends beside us, companions in Rotary and often in life, whose encouragement, wisdom, and presence and strength are our resolve. We honor the bonds between us, the fellowship that spans cultures, countries, and communities, binding us in a common cause greater than ourselves. We remain focused on the goals before us, to serve, to uplift, and to create a lasting change where it is needed the most. We are reminded that no task is beyond us when we are together, guided by compassion, integrity, and unity. Let us be generous in our giving and tireless in our help, always inspired by vision and dedication of our Rotarian leaders. May our hands bring hope, may our hearts bring healing, and our actions bring us closer to a world free from polio and all terrible diseases that rob people of dignity and life. Grant us the strength to continue our service, the humility to listen, and the courage to lead. Together we may build a healthier, more peaceful, and compassionate world. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sara tried to steal my notes. Okay, visiting Rotarians and guests by Dan Orr, everyone.
Imaginary friend. Okay, we have today the district polio chair from Carlsbad High Noon, Beth Garrow. And we have 4 visitors from the Tucson Sunset Rotary Club. They didn't give me their professions, so we'll assume it's past service. Starting with first, Denny Scanlon. Hi, Denny. Ann Scanlon. Hi, Ann. Alf Mildenberger. Hi. And Caroline Mildenberger. Hi, Caroline. Okay, busy guests of Rotarians, my left, your right.
President Natalie, fellow Rotarians, guests, visiting Rotarians, I would like to introduce my special guest again, because she's so awesome, Liesl Schaffler.
President Natalie, fellow Rotarians, I'd like to introduce my special guests who are joining our club very soon. This left coolers, Sandy and Brian.
President Natalie, fellow Rotarians, I'd like to introduce my guest, Howard Herbert, who has his papers in for membership and is joining us again today. Welcome.
Right. Nobody over here? Put a fork in me, I'm done.
Thank you so much, Dan. Okay, I have a couple red badgers here. If any red badgers can raise their hand, I have a question for you. Ron in the back. Does someone want to get a mic for Ron? Here's my question. Ron, have you ever broken a bone?
No.
Nothing? All right, great.
I've broken other people's bones.
Uh-oh. Watch out for Ron. What about, is Chris here? I saw him.
He's in the back.
Hello.
Hi, have you ever broken a bone?
Yes.
Any good stories with it?
Not really good ones. It was always my toes. I usually bump into something, furniture, a suitcase wheel, or something, and crack the toe.
All right, watch out
Yeah.
for, don't step on Chris's feet.
Okay, I did think of one story. I broke my toe right before we flew out to go to a funeral, and I was in uniform for the funeral, and it was really tough wearing those uniform shoes with a broken toe.
Oh man, that is tough. All right, Tom, yeah, you're still here. You're still a red badger. Any good broken bone stories?
I was picking cherries and she decided I was stealing hers. She nailed me.
Also, watch out for Tom, apparently. Any other red badgers here that snuck by me? All right, well, I do have my 100 years ago tidbit for everyone. In 1925, the Women's Olympiad was held in Sweden, bringing together athletes from 12 countries to compete in track and field. At the time, women were still banned from these events in the Olympic Games, but the success of the 1925 Olympiad paved the way, because just 3 years later, women finally competed in track and field at the 1928 Olympics. Now, I know there's a lot of pioneering women in our club, and the women run a lot of stuff here, but there's one specific person that I see actually running all the time, and I have an Olympic trophy for her. Kit Williams, come on up here. I'm sure you don't already have this. We actually just saw Kit over the weekend running. Okay, we did a few things around town, including Fisher House. I have a picture of Amy and Damie. They delivered 16 pizzas to Fisher House. This is an organization that we support at the Naval Medical Center of San Diego. And they offer free lodging for families of wounded warriors, and we help bring food. If you're ever interested in hearing or volunteering for this, please see Mary Griffin. I think there's more pictures of Flags on the Avenue, but that's all we did last week, as far as I know. We do have a lot of upcoming events, and past President Suzanne Manuel is going to come and talk about this weekend. You can play the video, Joe.
You know what that means. What time is it? It's time for a concert in the park that our club is sponsoring along with the Honorable John Duncan. Thank you so much. So we will have for you paper products. They're going to have chairs, tables, everything that's going to be set up. But if you want a little more comfortable chair, just bring your own, if you'd like to do that. So bring a dish to share and bring your beverage. And it's going to be great. Rumor has it we might have a couple of pizzas too. But it's going to be a great time. Bring your family, your friends, anybody you think might be interested in Rotary, and we'll show them what a good time we have. So how many are planning on coming? All right, that's very good. All right, it's 5 o'clock this week. It's early. It's our last concert of the season, so I think it's a great time to join our fellowship there. And you can come earlier. I plan on being there at least by 4 to get everything set up. So we'll be on Orange between 6 and 7th. You know the drill. So see you there.
Thank you, Suzanne. John, are we going to have like separate sponsor areas, or is it going to be one big party?
I asked him to set up one big area, and he
okay.
said he was going to do an additional third, so it'll be a gigantic one area for all.
Wow, okay, big party.
The band is
Crown Town is the band. It's going to be great. Yeah, Suzanne, you have a question?
I have a comment, point in time regarding prior to the beginning of the Rotary Concert Park, so we're now later, may I announce it?
Can I have you come up later? All right, perfect, because we have a Who Am I by Ron today. You ready, Ron? When Ron joined, he immediately emailed me asking if he could do his Who Am I. Just wants to get it over with.
I'm Ron Mandelbaum. I was born and raised in the Bronx in New York City. After graduating from college, I went to law school at night, even though I knew I was never going to practice law, but I thought it would help me in my profession, which was commercial real estate. And it did. After graduating, I took the bar exam, but before the results came back, there was an ad in the New York Times that a company wanted somebody in their real estate department, but they also to do deals, but they also wanted an attorney to do the legal work necessary for the sale or the lease. The company was Lowe's Corporation. I applied, they hired me, and I passed the bar. The Lowe's sent me out to Los Angeles in 1967 to establish a West Coast real estate division, and my introduction to Coronado came in 1969 when I received a phone call that Lowe's had just purchased the property just south of the Hotel Del, and were going to build condos, and they wanted to get me involved. I went into business myself in 1970 and was very fortunate when Lowe's said to me that instead of replacing me, they still wanted me to represent them, which I did for many years, including leasing the retail stores in the Lowe's Coronado right here at the Cays. I still do work for the probate court in San Diego, evaluating the assets of a decedent whose will is being probated. I don't know about you, but life to me is so crazy that you do something and it kind of changes where you're going. I call that the quirks of life. And it's one of those quirks that brought me here today. You see, for many years, I was a serious runner, including marathons, but I ruptured a disc in my back, which required surgery and left me with a very weak back if I stand for a long time, so I can't speak too long, or walk for a long distance. But last December, I noticed that the pain in my back was pretty constant even when I was sitting down. So I made an appointment with my doctor. But the night before my appointment, I went to a holiday party. And I was talking to some people, and one of them was Stephanie Anderson, who I really didn't know. And during the conversation, it came out that Stephanie was a yoga teacher, which didn't mean too much to me at the time. So the next morning, I go to my doctor's appointment, and now we get to the quirky part. And he says to me, well, we'll take some x-rays, but I think you might consider taking yoga. What kind of crazy coincidence is that, I thought. I quickly became a client of Stephanie, and she's my sponsor, and that's why I'm here today. Is that okay? Now, for those of you who don't know, Stephanie is amazing at what she does. In no time, she has my back pain-free. She's like a magician. And then as I got to know her better and found out all the things she does for Rotary and also in the general Coronado community, my admiration for her has grown exponentially. Stephanie, now that I've said some nice things about you, are you going to give me the $20 you promised? Seriously, I've been impressed with what Rotary does, and I hope to be a good Rotarian and a credit to the organization.
Thank you so much. And Stephanie, keep going to parties, look for clients, and look for amazing Rotarians like Ron. Thank you so much. Okay, next up, I'll bring in Sara back because we have a very special day to talk about End Polio Now, our wine tasting party, and try and raise a little money today too.
Okay. Well, we are 10 days away from the 17th annual wine tasting event, and thanks to you, we are sold out. The event, as you know, on Saturday the 6th will start promptly at 6 o'clock, and just so you know, no early entrance. You will be immersed in an extraordinary wine tasting experience enhanced by delectable appetizers. We have about 10 wineries from Northern California, Southern California, and Mexico, including some wine education and some chocolatier. Julianne Morris also developed something called the Passport to Wine. And it's this beautiful piece that, that Brittany Teeter has put together that is on your bid card, and it talks about each winery and a question you need to go mark off. We want you to go visit each one of these wineries because they have charitably given us the wine. And once you fill out all of that, plus visiting the Safe Harbor and the End Polio Now booth, you get a opportunity drawing for free. The attire is cocktail casual, so women wear nice sundresses and fancy pantsuits. There's lawn again, so no pokey heels, just wedges and flats, and men wear collared shirts and slacks. There is a dynamic party by our own Doug St. Dennis that will be following the event, wherever Doug is. Thank you again for, she's back there, for doing that. It'll probably about 9:15. The event goes from 6 to 9, and then we clean up the people on the committee. So we'll meet you there at Doug's at around 9:15 or after. Now, let's remember that the purpose of this event is to support two important charities, Safe Harbor and End Polio Now. And our wonderful auction committee, including Brenda Jo, Stephanie, Terry Curtin, and a slew of others, have done the best job anyone has ever seen putting together auction items. There's experiences, there's things that they have gone above and beyond. So first, let's do a hand of applause for them because that's amazing. And in order to support this, first off, I want to thank our major donors again, Carol Summers, John Matthews, Suzanne Manuel, and Chris and Kit Williams. And in addition, we have a live auction, we have silent auctions, we have the community auction, which is bidding out, and it's online right now. And Rainier just told me that somebody put a cash donation of $7,000 into it. We don't know who it is, but that's great, just to go ahead and give. So, and then right there you see, and then we also have raffle. Right there you see that there is the QR code and the Coronado Rotary Auction.com. So you can go ahead, people are starting to bid already from the community and from Rotary. Awesome pieces in there. So now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Beth Hara. She's been an active Rotarian for over 36 years in Joliet, Illinois, Carlsbad, and Hawthorne. She's been the director of the community service for Carlsbad. She was the regional manager and major gifts officer for Rotary Foundation. She is now the Polio Plus district committee chair, 5340. And at the same point in time, she was the VP of the Garo Company, City of Carlsbad Certified Emergency Response Team. She was in higher education and the trustee of the Army and Navy Academy. She's truly an inspiring person. Would you please welcome Beth Harrow?
Thank you so much. Does this come out or not really? It comes out. Terrific. Can everyone hear me? It's such a pleasure to be here. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because this club is beyond amazing. I'm just going to give you a quick update because I was told I had 5 minutes and I will get this done. I really want to share with you what's going on, why we're still working to end polio, a little bit of our history. So next slide, please. I know you're all familiar with our avenues of focus, and polio really is part of all of it. It falls into every single category, whether it's education or the environment or maternal and child health, all of the above. Eradicating polio continues to be the #1 priority for Rotary International, and we've been at it for a long time. Next slide. We have, as of today, this is not correct because I turned the slides in before we had 2 more cases, unfortunately. We have 23 cases as of today worldwide in Afghanistan and Pakistan. 21 in Pakistan and 2 in Afghanistan. We're doing a little better than last year, but we're still not there. And the reason that this continues is that is a really conflict area, torn area. It's very difficult to get our children vaccinated and so forth. So we are working really hard with Pakistan to get those numbers down. Next slide. So why are we still at it? Well, one of the reasons is it's our top priority. We've been at it since 1988. Some of you I know in this room are good friends who've been at it for 1988, right, John? Yep. And we've reduced the number of endemic countries from 125 down to 2, Afghanistan and Pakistan. We've gone from 350 cases of polio to, that's wrong also, I didn't update that one, but it's 23 cases as of today. And then, we've been helping a lot of kids. There are 18 million people walking today thanks to Rotary's area efforts to eradicate polio. And so if we don't eradicate polio and continue to work with our partners on this, within 10 years it's anticipated that 200,000 cases could reoccur around the world each year. So we've got to keep at it. We're 99% there. Next slide. Oh, and wait, let's go back to that slide, please. These are our partners. If you aren't familiar with the GPEI, which is the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, we have the World Health Organization, Rotary, the CDC, UNICEF, Bill and Melinda, well, it's actually it's Bill Gates now, the Gates Foundation, and Gavi. And they work collaboratively to eradicate polio. We've done a lot of work on it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about where that money goes that we raise. Next slide, please. So this is from 23-24. We don't have the 24-25. It is a breakdown. It's not just, we aren't just supporting vaccines. We're supporting outbreak response. We're supporting specific efforts in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and you'll see that the chunk of pie in Pakistan is pretty high. It's a very concerted effort in Pakistan to eradicate polio. So we do a lot in that area. And that's probably enough for right now on that one. Next slide. So this is what I want you to understand, how generous this club is. I asked Rotary International to find out how much money you guys have raised in the last 10 years. And you've raised $1.25 million before the Gates match, which is 2-to-1. So, I mean, that's pretty darn impressive. So you're closing in at 4.5, with the Gates match, 4.5 million. You're closing in on 5 million with the Gates match, and we can't thank you enough. You're certainly one of the top top clubs. I think not certainly in the United States, but certainly in the world, to raise this level of money, and we can't thank you enough. We are continuing our efforts to get all clubs to give $1,500 or more. I know you're well beyond that, but it's amazing how many of our clubs in our district don't give anything. So we're trying to get the word out. We're trying to, anything you want to put on your social media that gets to the rest of the district and gets out to RI is welcome, because we're all looking for efforts to eradicate this horrible disease. We also have the Kennel Club, and I will give you information on coming to your wine tasting. I'm really looking forward to it, honored to be coming. And that also is a new thing that if you give $100 for your little animal, and it can be alpaca, it can be a dog, it can be a iguana, whatever it is, you will get a really nice bandana to put around. I have a Mastiff, 110-pound Mastiff grand dog, and I got one to fit our grand dog. So I'll get you the QR codes for that. I want you to say, one of the things that we are doing in California is we're working with all of the other clubs in California and all the other districts in California to get a proclamation from the governor to declare October 24th as World Polio Day until it is fully eradicated. So we're all working on that effort collectively to help raise awareness. And with that, I'm not even going to take questions, but I want to say thank you so much for all you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth. So to get us started in building spirit to support End Polio Now and Safe Harbor, Terry Curtin is going to take us through a really fun activity.
Hello. And by fun, we mean drinking. I think we raised so much because we had the foresight to combine charity and wine drinking. Good work there. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Jacqueline, President Natalie, and fellow Rotarians. We're going to do a little wine tasting today. Pretty soon, our committee is going to come through with some wine, and we're going to pair that with our paddle raise. So with that, Joe, hit it. Ladies. Don't be shy. While they're passing out wine, I'm going to bring your attention to the paddles on your table. Everybody, you have paddles on your table. See them here? Pass the paddles around. We are going to get to a paddle raise, and we're going to ask you to hold your paddles high when that time comes. We're going to also ask you to shout your name out, and we're going to ask you to keep your paddle raised until somebody documents what it is that you're donating. Thank you. How's that passing going? Let's do one test raise. Everybody raise their paddle for a photo. Everybody. Thank you for $10,000 each of you. You're incredible. We are so grateful. We're done. Okay. Are we good? Anybody missing the wine? Okay, thank you, Joe. All right, now we're going to raise our glass. If you aren't drinking wine, you may toast with water. We can kill the UB40 song. All right, thank you. If you're not drinking, you may raise your glass of water, whatever you have. We'd like to raise a toast to Jacqueline, Sarah, everybody on the committee for this event, all the Rotarians in this room who gave so generously. The auction items that we have for this event, so many of them were donated by all of you, and so much time was donated by all of you. So let's raise a glass in advance of what we know is going to be a huge successful event on September 6th. Yay! Congratulations to us! All right, and now we're going to go into the paddle raise. We want you all to just give a little bit. Joe, that's your cue. There's a song. Give a little bit, give a little bit. Okay. All right, we're going to tighten up our music cues next year. Good job. All right, so now everybody has their paddle. You know the rules. We're going to go by descending levels. If you're willing to give, please hold your paddle high. Shout out your name. And then also we're going to ask you to write your name and the amount you gave on the back of your paddle and hand your paddle in at the end of the day. Everyone's going to do their best to scurry around and capture your donation, but it's a big room. And so just for safeguarding, please also write your name on the back. There are pens on the table. So if anybody is good at math and wants to do a little cheap, quick addition, it'd be fun. If you want to assign yourself, I can't do that in this, but we're going to start the bidding off at the $10,000 level. It's important to note that we have a number of, woo! Never mind, I'm not noting anything. Yes, Jacqueline, Eric, Trav, let's go with 10. Coming in strong, thank you so much. Do we have anybody else at that level? Wonderful. Okay, well that is going to call for a toast. Raise your glasses again. We're ahead of the game. All right, we also want to thank Carol Summer, John Matthews, Kit Williams, Ron Bernetti, and Suzanne Manuel, who prior to today gave at least $10,000 or more previously already for our event on September 6th. So let's toast the generosity of our club. Fantastic. Okay. The next level is $5,000. Anybody? Oh my goodness! Woo! Got it back. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Wonderful news. That's great. Okay, and now $2,500, which is great for the year 2025. $2,500. Anybody? Anybody? No pressure. Going once, going twice. All right, moving on to 1,000. Okay. Anybody need more wine? Raise your paddle. Raise your. Woo! Did you want wine or you're bidding 1,000? Thank you. Okay, one for 1,000. Great news. Oh, and Brenda over there. I thought you were just demonstrating what raising your paddle looks like. Go, Brenda. Go, John. Thank you. All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And now 500. I'd like to jump in on the 500 level. Anybody want to join me? Let's go. God, I see Susie. I see Doug. I keep thinking that Alec is holding his paddle up. It's his camera. He's filming. And we've got all right. Okay, any other 500 level? Fantastic. All righty. And now our final level, which is 100. It's our 100-year anniversary for the Coronado Rotary Club. It's a perfect opportunity. A little poetic. I see a lot. Let's go. All the $100 paddles. Hold them up. Keep them high. There's a lot to track. Hello. Thank you. You're going to start like a conga line of $100 paddles?
I want to remind everyone that at the RI level, every dollar here is attributable to your major donor status, because there are two programs at RI that give you credit for donation. That's the annual fund and Polio Plus. Every dollar that's donated here goes in your personal account and counts towards Paul Harris Fellow, and most importantly towards major donor status. These two over here were major donors in one pot. There they are.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks, Bob. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I think we still need the $100 paddles up. Did you guys capture everybody? Nope. If you had your hand up for $100, can you keep it up? We had so many at that level. They need to make sure that they capture your name and your information. I don't have another wine song for you, but just a little patience, and we are almost done. All right. And this has been a great kickoff for our event. We can't thank you enough. Everybody have a great time. On September 6th, I won't be in town, so I won't be there for the after party, but you know how much fun both are going to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your generosity. Thank you, Terry, for doing that. I've done a race
Natalie?
paddle before, and that was way more fun with wine.
Natalie, there were a couple of people on Zoom who were, I'll have their numbers too, that also want to contribute as well.
Okay.
Just so you know. I think Wayne was one of them. Anyway,
Okay, if you can relay the information to what we were doing, that would be super great.
then what happened?
Okay, so as I said before, our speaker had to cancel, and it was not because he didn't want to come to our club. It was because he's really, really sick, and not his fault at all. But luckily, I have someone to introduce today. Richard Bailey, everyone. He is the former mayor of Coronado. He is the current first boyfriend of our Coronado Rotary Club. And he is my savior today because he's going to come up here and he's not talking about politics. He's not looking for more money from you guys today. He is going to talk about my favorite hobby of his, which is mountaineering when he leaves me for weeks at a time. Richard Bailey, everyone.
Thank you, Madam President. Good afternoon, everyone. Hey. So I feel like the last several times I've had an opportunity to speak with you all, it's usually during the summer when it's really, really hot, and we take you to a place really, really cold. And today is no exception. Last time I spoke, we went all the way to the top of the world at Mount Everest during an expedition I had last year. And this time we're going all the way to the top of North America to a mountain called Mount Denali. Now, quick backstory. Why do I like to do this stuff? It started, because it's there, Sherrod and Hillary, great line. It started when I was 12 years old. My mom actually took me to go see a documentary at the IMAX Theater in Balboa Park about the 1996 Everest expedition. And from that moment until I successfully summited Mount Everest, that was an obsession of mine. For those 20 plus years, that's all I could think about, it's all I wanted to do. So what do you do after you climb the tallest mountain in the world? You go climb the other ones. So now we're going to go to Mount Denali. Next slide, please. So we're going to give you a little bit of background on Mount Denali. We're going to talk about the plan of attack to actually get to the summit. We're going to talk about the summit approach, what that actually looks like. And it's quite a bit different than Mount Everest and some of these other larger mountains. We're going to compare the two to give you some context about the difficulties of both of them. And then we're going to answer the question, in addition to why I climb, why do other people climb? Next slide, please. So, Mount Denali, it's located in Alaska. It is the tallest peak in North America, and it is one of the 7 summits, meaning that it is the tallest peak on the North American continent. One of the common aspirational goals of mountaineers is to climb the tallest mountain on every summit. Climb the tallest mountain on every continent. That is certainly my goal. So far, I've done 3 of the 7, and the goal is to knock out all 7 within the next 18 months. But don't tell Natalie. So, is it called Denali or is it called McKinley? Well, for a long, long period of time, it was known as Mount Denali by the indigenous folks that lived up in Alaska. And then in the early 1900s, after Alaska became a territory, there was a prospector there that claimed to have summited the mountain and wanted to name it after President McKinley. And so that's where the name stuck, McKinley, up until about 2010-ish, when President Obama changed the name officially back to Denali. And then recently, President Trump changed the name again over to McKinley. Does anyone know what Denali means? It means the high one. It means the high one. It is at an altitude of 20,310 feet. The climbing season for Denali, in theory, you could go climb it anytime you wanted, but the weather year-round is absolutely terrible and unpredictable, even during the climbing season. It's just slightly less terrible during the climbing season from mid-May to early July. Average expedition is about 2 to 3 weeks, weather depending. There are people that attempt to set records for the summit. They will knock this out in about 4 days. They will literally go all the way to the top to fully acclimatize, they'll take weeks to get to the top. They'll come all the way back down to base camp. They'll recover at base camp for a while, and then they'll do like a 2 to 3 day ascent, and then a 1 day descent to try to set world records. And the expedition cost is about $12,000 to $15,000. So it is not an inexpensive hobby. And of course, risks include avalanche, frostbite, rockfall, freezing temperatures, and death. Next slide. All right, so let's talk about the plan of attack. A mountain like Denali is not like Cowles Mountain, where there's pretty much one path up. It's going to be just a quick little day hike. What makes Denali so challenging, in addition to the elements, is that it is very high, and because it is high, it's going to take us a while to acclimate. There's also some other challenges too. We're going to go up this thing called the West Buttress Route. On Denali, there's 3 common routes. We're going to go up the most common route called the West Buttress Route. This is actually a picture of our group making our way up one of the little crevasses there. Next slide. Okay, so this is what the mountain looks like from afar. What we're going to do, our plan of attack, we're going to take a tiny little airplane, we're going to fly onto a glacier over here, and then we're going to traverse all the way across this glacier, making our way to various camps, and then eventually all the way to the summit. So there's 4 camps in between base camp and the summit. One of the major differences between Everest and Denali is that on Denali, you carry all of your own stuff. There is no support team for you. When you land, when the plane lands and they drop you off at base camp, you get off the plane with all your gear, with the sled, and when you load up, that is all you have for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You are completely on your own. In some ways, when you see that plane fly away, it is equally liberating and also quite terrifying, because you are on your own. Also, this entire area from base camp, pretty much all the way to this little feature called Motorcycle Hill, is heavily crevassed, meaning that there'll be these snow bridges where you think, oh, this is going to be a firm pack of snow to go over, but you will, without warning, just punch right through that snow and end up in a crevasse hundreds of feet deep. So you are roped together with your team. Our team, we had 9 climbers and 3 guides. Next slide, please. On the left-hand side, I think if you click that, it should play. This is our other left-hand slide, but we'll get to that one.
Sorry.
Further to the left. All right, this is great. On the left-hand side, this is our flight into the mountain. You can see how desolate it is. There is nothing there. It is just you and the elements. On the middle here, once we unload the aircraft, that's when we tie up, and you can see us here, all of our sleds and backpacks and rope teams together. Our backpack at the very start was weighing about 85 pounds, and our sled was weighing about 80 to 100 pounds. It is a lot. I gotta say, for someone that actually enjoys this stuff, it is one of the most physically demanding things I had ever done. And then on the right, you can see that you're pretty much following in a single file formation. The reason you're doing that is because, as I mentioned earlier, it is heavily, heavily crevassed. And so the first person in your group goes out, and they have these little prodding sticks where they're taking a few steps at a time, and they're digging into the snow just to see that there's enough snowpack to decrease the likelihood of people further in your group falling into a crevasse. Next slide. All right, so after about 6 to 8 hours of hiking through that initial field, we arrive at Camp 1. And as you can see, there's not much to Camp 1. Camp 1 is just another empty snowfield, but we had absolutely beautiful weather on this day. One of the other unique components of Denali is that because it's at such a high latitude, it's 24 hours of daylight. So the sun did not set on us for the entire duration of the 22-day expedition. So this photo here was probably taken at about 11 p.m. at night. In fact, one of the kind of oddities of climbing Denali is that for most mountaineers, one of the things you are absolutely adamant that you bring and that you double and triple check is that you always bring a headlamp and a backup headlamp and several packs of batteries, because you always need them. Not on Denali. You never bring a headlamp because you have 24 hours of daylight the entire time. Next slide. So as we're making our way from camp to camp, as I mentioned, we have a very, very heavy backpack, and we have a very, very heavy sled. And it is a lot to carry from Camp 1 all the way to Camp 2, and then all the way to Camp 3. So what you do is you pack up about 90% of your stuff in Camp 1, most of your food, most of the gear you'll use for the higher mountain, and you pretty much just leave yourself with a couple days supply of food and the stuff you need for the day at Camp 1, and then you move about 3/4 of the way to Camp 2, and you can see this is a beautiful view of the mountain range. You'll notice this little stick here. What you do when you get about 3/4 of the way to Camp 2 is you dig a hole into the snow about 8 feet down, and you bury all of your food and all of your gear. You cover it with snow, and then you put the stick there to mark it. And then you return all the way back to Camp 1, spend the night at Camp 1, pack up all your stuff again, move all the way the next day, all the way to Camp 2, set up all your stuff. The following day, you come back to this marker, you dig up all of your gear, all of your food, and then you proceed to Camp 2. It's logistically kind of a nightmare. It is very, very taxing, because to move from one camp to another, it takes usually 3 to 4 days in total to get all your stuff there, because you're carrying so much stuff. Next slide. So this is us making our way from Camp 1 to Camp 2. You can see, once again, when you have beautiful weather, I have to say, this is one of those times in my life where I just felt most alive. I just felt so fortunate to be able to enjoy these views. Incredibly taxing physically, but just absolutely awe-inspiring. That's Camp 1 down at the bottom, all those little tents, and this is us making our way up a pretty steep hill. Next slide. So, the higher you go, the more difficult it becomes. For some reason, not for some reason, at higher latitudes, there is less pressure. So 10,000 feet up in Denali feels about the equivalent of around 13,000 feet here, closer to the equator. So even though it's not quite as high in altitude because of the lack of pressure up on the higher latitudes, you start to feel the lack of oxygen pretty quickly. So we've had pretty good weather so far. Next slide. And at this point, we're starting to make our way over to Camp 3. And I'm pointing this out because to get from Camp 3 to Camp 4, we're going to go around some pretty treacherous terrain. This is when we don't just have to worry about falling into crevasses hundreds of feet deep. This is when we have to start worrying about falling off the side of the mountain. And to get from Camp 3 to Camp 4, remember, it's not just a single day. We're going to go about 3/4 of the way all the way to Camp 4. We're going to bury a lot of our supplies, and then we're going to turn back to Camp 3. We're going to wait a night, and then we're going to do that again. And that's exactly what our team did. We went from Camp 3 all the way about 3/4 of the way to Camp 4. Beautiful weather, buried all of our stuff, and then returned to Camp 3. Next slide. That's us moving. Go ahead. One more slide. And then the weather came in. And this is what Camp 3 looked like the day after we dropped off 90% of our remaining food and most of our gear. This is what it looked like for about a week. We did not leave Camp 3 for an entire week. We almost ran out of food to the point we were down to literally just eating Cliff Bars. What makes Denali especially challenging is that, unlike some of the other larger mountains, when you get into a camp, the expedition team already has camp set up for you. You just drop your gear, they got warm tea, warm hot chocolate, coffee, water, food ready to go for you. On Denali, it's just you and your team. So when you arrive into camp, it doesn't matter if it's a beautiful day or if it's 50-mile-per-hour winds, it's on you to set up your tent. It's on you to boil the water. It's on you to get the food ready. And so that's one of the things that makes Denali so taxing. So we unfortunately started encountering some bad weather, and instead of making some very good progress, we ended up kind of having to hold tight for about a week. Next slide. The weather let up, and then we continued our way to Camp 4. Go ahead and click that button down on the bottom left. So this is the view from Camp 4. Absolutely stunning. And as we kind of pan around here, you're going to see this section right here. And there's this, kind of see this path, and those little people. That's taking you all the way to the summit ridge. That's what we're doing next. And the slide on the right shows us kind of exactly what that ascent up this super steep ridge looks like. Next slide, please. That is about 14,000 feet. So here's us making our way along this very steep slope of a traverse. In this situation here, you're roped up to your teammates. You're roped up to your teammates, which is both good and bad. It's good because if you happen to fall, you have your teammates to support you. It's bad because if your teammates fall, you have to support them. And if you don't, you're all sliding down the mountain, and unfortunately, you're all probably dying. In this particular instance, what we do is we install, to help protect our safety, we installed these things called little pickets. There's these almost like little fence-like structures that are about 3 to 4 feet, about 3 feet tall. The lead guide, the lead rope team member, will beat it into the ground, into the snow. They will clip in their team rope, walk through, and then each person that walks through this picket then clips in their team rope, and the person behind it unclips, clips, unclips, clips. You do this literally several hundred times. And it's for everyone's safety, of course. Next slide. So this is back to that one of those early pictures. This is us making our way along a ridgeline, approaching the very high camp right before the summit. In this particular instance, there aren't many safe places to take good pictures along this ridgeline. If this looks precarious, this was actually the safest place to stop and take a picture along the ridgeline. In these instances, there are no pickets for your own protection. You are at your absolute maximum focus level. If the person ahead of you falls off to the side, it is your job to jump to the other side. And just trust that the weight of both of you going over opposite sides of the ridge is going to be enough to keep everyone alive before you regroup. So you're focused on not letting the rope get tangled in your feet, and also watching the person ahead of you hopefully not fall. Next slide. Another view of the ridgeline here. Next slide. And from high camp, this is a picture from high camp, maybe in a video of high camp, and you can kind of see this little trail. Go back one more. You can kind of see this little trail that takes you all the way up to the final approach to the summit, and there is a picture of the group from the summit. Now, if you look very closely, you'll notice that yours truly, unfortunately, is not in that picture. After 22 days, I made it all the way to high camp, and unfortunately, one of the common ailments of living in close proximity to each other with no sanitation is you come up with some bad GI issues. And in the final approach, we were 8 hours from the summit, and I was having some bad GI issues. And as you can imagine, when you're going along those ridge lines, you kind of want to be at the top of your game, because it's not just your life that depends on it, but it's your teammates as well. So unfortunately, I had to stop at high camp. So what does that mean? It just means I'll be back next year, guys. All right, next slide. It was quite cold. You're definitely talking like negative 20, 25 degrees, even in the wet. Even when you see the sun is out, but it's still just extremely cold. And go to that final slide and take some questions. So Everest, quite a bit higher, but it's quite a bit higher. But you have a larger support team. It's less technical than Denali. It's deadlier in different ways than Denali. Like on Everest, there's a lot of things that can kill you that are completely outside of your control. On Denali, if you're at the top of your game, you're probably going to be okay if you have a good team. And we've had a really, really good team. All right, so we'll go ahead and pause it there. Next slide, I think there might be one more. I'll wrap it up with this quote. It's a quote I left you with last time. So why climb? I know of no better life purpose than to perish attempting the great and impossible. The fact that something seems impossible should not be a reason to not pursue it. That's exactly what makes it worth pursuing. Where would the courage and greatness be if success was certain and there was no risk? As one of the early pioneers of mountaineering, George Mallory, said, when asked this question of why he climbs, in his pursuit of climbing Everest, he said, because it's there. And thank you all for letting me share with you. And I think we have 3 minutes for questions, if there's any questions. Yes, sir.
Fantastic stand-in, Ricky. Thanks very much. Okay, so did you have constant contact with the outside world? Could you call the plane back and say, we want out of here early? Or we want food, can you drop it on us?
Great question. You can call the plane back. You can radio for the plane to come back. We do have like radio systems set up along the mountain, but it's so inaccessible at Denali that you'd have to climb all the way back down to base camp. So there's no one to come and drop additional food off or supplies for you once you left base camp.
Thank you again, Richard. When I went to Zermatt, Switzerland, and looked up the Matterhorn, there was a cemetery for all those folks that had died on the mountain. I'm standing in this cemetery trying to understand it because it's there. What would go through your mind if you're standing in that cemetery with all the souls that have passed on the mountain? What would go through your mind?
What would go through my mind? There's a similar one in Everest, actually, on the way to Everest Base Camp. And I've certainly asked myself that question. And at least for me personally, I know I would have the feeling of that I've left something on the table if I don't at least attempt it. And it's almost a compulsive feeling that if I don't do this, to be honest, it was hard for me to sleep at night. The first attempt I went to Everest and I failed. For the next year, I could not sleep at night because I was so obsessed with going back. And so I understand why they attempted to do that and why they were willing to risk it. It's tough to answer, but I would simply say I get it.
So kind of a boring question. What do you do for 1 week trapped in a tent on the side of the mountain?
There's not a whole lot to do. There's not a whole lot to do. And this is where like having a great team that gets along really well is so important, because as you imagine, if you have personalities that conflict with one another in those types of environments, it can get really ugly really fast. There's this one picture I didn't show of you. We have a kitchen tent where everyone kind of like comes in every night and morning, shoulder to shoulder. One guy thought he had a little air hole in his sleeping mattress. And so what do you do to kill a few hours? You put the sleeping mattress out in front of everyone, and you play a game of let's see who can find where the air hole is. It turned out there was no air hole. He just hadn't fastened everything. But it took us about 3 hours to figure that out. So it killed some time.
Because you have to be so connected to your team, do you get to pick the people who are on your team? Are you collectively put together with people, and do you train together?
You might not be surprised to learn that there's not many of us that do this stuff. It's a pretty small community. So last year when I did Everest, I was fortunate that there's 3 other people that climbed with me on a different mountain who were also willing to come back to Everest. For this particular ascent, I didn't know anyone on the team going into it. So you do go in kind of blind and just kind of crossing your fingers that, if you think you're a pretty cool person and you do this stuff, hopefully other people that do this stuff are also pretty cool and you get along, but it really is kind of a crapshoot. Actually, 2 of our guides were winning. 2 of our guides were winning. They're highly, highly confident, just phenomenal mountaineers, and I was just very fortunate to have it. There's not many women in the sport, but yes.
Ricky, thanks so much. That was really great. I just have a practical question of bathroom facilities. I mean, because it's so cold, it's not like you can take the paper in the bathroom.
It's a great question. I love this stuff, I really, really do. But there was one moment where I found myself asking, why am I doing this? And that particular moment was during the storm when I was at Camp 3, and I had to go to the bathroom. And oftentimes you are going to the bathroom in the tent next to the person that's sleeping in the tent with you. And in this particular instance, I needed to get outside because I was having bad GI issues. And I am sitting on a bucket, just getting pelted by the storm, and it's like a 3-gallon bucket, and the wind just knocked me over. And I'm like, all right, why am I doing this again? Anyways, I'm out of time. I'm happy to stick around and answer questions. Thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming to speak. And I do not know why I thought that was going to decrease my stress levels. It has only made them worse. But thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for your generosity and for being here and for rolling with the punches with me as things change. We will see you next week for Jersey Day. Everyone wear your Packer jerseys. Right, Pat? Yeah. Okay, everyone. Have a great day. Getting you out of here on time.